Happy Monday morning. I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech, and that's Chelsea Takahashi. She's with Starbucks, and you're going to hear about Starbucks, the food basket, in a moment. Anyway, food is very important. Food security is very important in our islands. It always is. Not only in the time of COVID, but we want everybody to eat, and we don't want anybody to fall off the side. And so, actually, the Relief Act, the COVID Relief Act that just got signed will have a significant effect, probably on the Big Island also, where there is a food security issue. Am I right, Chelsea? Chelsea is the program manager of Starbucks, which is what do you want to call it, a nonprofit food basket company operating not only out of Hilo, but all islands. Tell us about the food basket.
So the food basket is the food bank for Hawaii Island, or the Big Island. We have two warehouses, one in Hilo and one in Kona. We've been operating since 1989. So we've been busy the last year, especially with the pandemic, having to do a lot more direct service than we're used to. Usually we rely on partner agencies such as soup kitchens and food pantries. But a lot of these volunteer organizations were having to shut down. A lot of them are supported by elderly senior volunteers that we didn't want to put at risk to contracting the virus. So we've had to do a lot of adjusting. A lot of them are coming back on board and continuing to serve the public, but we continue to also do a lot more direct service than we're used to doing.
Yeah, well, tell us about the size of your organization. When I looked at the website, there were a lot of people involved. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we had a considerable growth because of this, how much food we've been pushing out. We've hired quite a bit of people. We have over 20 employees. That's not including our safety team that we've contracted so that they can be out directing traffic at our food distributions, as well as taking down household data. This is so we can track how many people we're serving. And yes, we're working with it.
Well, you're a significant operation, and you can tell from the website. And I guess
volunteers as well.
Yeah. Or in addition, okay. So, how big are you in terms of money? Because I know you're on a fund drive now. Can you talk about that?
So I'm not sure. I didn't talk to our executive director about this, about sharing our operating budget, but I know in general it was a lot smaller before the pandemic, but because of having to serve, doing more direct service and pushing out a lot more food, we've grown tremendously in the last year, in 2020. It's I want to say about $5 million operating budget.
And you're looking for money now. You're doing a fund drive right now, this spring. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I'm a program manager for the Debucks Double Up Food Bucks program. That's my logo behind me. And we're doing a drive for a specific grant to support that program. And it is even though we're a food bank for Hawaii Island, this specific program services Hawaii statewide. And it's based on a national model of food access to make fruits and vegetables more affordable for low-income households, specifically households on SNAP EBT food benefits. So there's a grant application that's due April 16th, and it requires a matching contribution. So if we're planning to apply for $2.5 million, we have to come up with a matching $2.5 million in contributions. It could be in cash contributions as well as in-kind contributions.
In-kind means food.
For this specific grant, most of the time it means volunteer outreach time, even this type of service that you're providing, your time in helping me promote my program. That's called our in-kind.
Okay, well, write that down. That's what we do, though. We try to help. We try to help local nonprofits, just like you.
the thing.
Anyway, talk about Da Bucks. What is that when you say double up food bucks? What does that mean? What does it mean, Chelsea?
I know it's a really long title. It's based on a national brand, the Double Up Food Bucks, and then we try to localize it and make our own logo that's very similar. And it's a SNAP incentive model. So what happens is SNAP EBT households will qualify for this program. They automatically qualify by being on food benefits. Um, and they can make a purchase with their food benefits at a participating grocery store or farmer's market or another food retailer and get some type of financial incentive. Here in Hawaii, most of our participating retailers offer a 50% discount. So KTA is one of our participating grocery stores. A SNAP customer goes to KTA, purchases a local avocado, they can get an automatic 50% discount at checkout. So that discount encourages them to purchase local, to buy more fruits and vegetables. And that discount is also reimbursed by us, by the food basket to KTA. So they get the full revenue of that product.
Oh, good. Everybody wins. Certainly the food store wins because the food store has more business. Otherwise, people couldn't be able to afford it. The local farmer wins because he's or she is creating the produce that's involved in the program. And certainly the people who have, food insecurity win because they have food when they might not otherwise have food. And furthermore, that it's healthy food. You're not covering potato chips, are you?
Oh, well, that's not a qualifying item. Yeah, it's an innovative model. It started out of, we're crediting Michigan's Fair Food Network. They're the ones who really championed this model and brought it to the federal government, said, make this a funding allocation federally. So now it's called the GusNIP grant. And that GusNIP grant is what is funding these SNAP incentive programs all across the country, including ours at the food basket.
So why do you do this, Chelsea? Is it for the big bucks?
I wish, no. So our mission at the food basket is to end hunger on Hawaii Island. And traditionally food banks, which we continue to do, is we provide direct service. We help the immediate need in giving food to people. And that is still a huge part of our mission. But I'd say in the last 6 to 7 years, we've added on these innovative types of food access programs to really help people start thinking about budgeting, about just preventing these systemic problems and barriers that put people in these situations where they're hungry and can't afford to feed their families. So this is just one of those programs that are trying to prevent hunger and end hunger on Hawaii Island and now throughout the state because it's grown statewide.
Yeah, why exactly do you do it though? Did you go to school for it?
Yeah, this interest just kind of grew out. Oh, I'm sorry, there's an ambulance.
Okay. All right.
It grew out of just studying and volunteering a lot growing up. I grew up in Hilo, and I've always volunteered with my mom who works for the Hilo Medical Center. Being a part of a small town community, I could really see how people really rely on nonprofits and the public sector for support. So I think that's always been ingrained in me to be a public servant. And then going to school, I went to school on the mainland, delved into public health classes, environmental science. My degree is actually in environmental science. I went on to do a master's in agribusiness for graduate school. Yeah.
I'm really interested, because you're the generation that's going to save us, we hope, Chelsea.
Oh, I don't know about save, but we're trying our best. We're the millennials.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so how do you spend your day as the program manager at Bucks?
So my role has definitely evolved over time. Currently, I'm doing a lot of grant writing, partnership development. we are actually looking into another grant that is related to the GUSNIP. It's called a Produce Prescription Grant. Just we're always looking for different opportunities to support our low income households and get them better access to local foods. We know how important it is to develop our food system, especially in these times where it's not always reliable. We could even have a natural disaster, and that could cut off our services to shipments coming through. There could be a lack of supply in the mainland, and we're having to all of a sudden rely on our own food supply. So it's just, we're really important. We really care about trying to develop our food system and our local food supply.
Yeah, bet. You know, I always felt, actually, I'm coming to this conclusion more and more all the time, that the people who come from the Big Island are different than the rest of the people in the world. Something on the Big Island. Maybe it's the water. Maybe it's some biochemical substance in the earth. But the people from the Big Island are different. Do you agree?
I think, honestly, I've had the opportunity to travel. I've lived in California and DC and Texas. I think it's more of a symptom of just a small town community and having that connection with people in your community. As everywhere you go, you see somebody you meet and somebody who's helped you in the past or that you have helped in the past. So it's that connection that you have that really makes you want to care more than just your more about other people than only yourself.
Now, what about the low income sector, if you will, of the Big Island? What is the Big Island like in terms of income?
I don't have the statistics in front of me, but we do carry a high with a density of the state's population of low income. We do have a higher percentage on our island compared to other islands when you're looking at I guess as density of our island of low income households.
When the rat lungworm crisis was happening a few years ago, I'm talking about. The rat lungworm was a horrible antigen that some people ingested and made them very, very sick. Um, I became aware that there were a lot of people on the Big Island that were living subsistence, growing their own food, maybe not well trained to do it, and that's one of the reasons why rat lungworm, had come up on the Big Island. Is that true? Are there people in the Big Island who are living subsistence, living from the earth, growing their own food?
Just based on my observation, yes, that is true. A lot of people, by choice, they are wanting to live off grid, without they survive off of catchment, and it's more about their connection, I think, to the land and wanting to be at peace with themselves and really wanting to connect to the earth.
It's a
it's
cultural thing, isn't it?
it's not because they want to be I guess backwards or living in a primitive age. It's just that's what how they enjoy living. um and I think our island offers that, where you can live safely, actually, and comfortably without having government run electricity or water. So there is a big portion of our island that is off grid, and they don't have access to like county water or electricity.
But what's the connection, if you can just free associate for a moment, what's the connection between that style of life and the disadvantaged, the unemployed, the low income, and the people who are your clientele in the bucks and the food basket?
So I don't have good data to speak on that, but I do have an analysis of the SNAP population that does have access to our food retailers. There was a study recently completed by Dr. Vanessa Buchtal of UH Manoa, and she mapped out all of our our food retail locations. And her study showed that 77% of SNAP households do have access to a participating retailer in the state. So that's about 42,000 households.
When you say have access, you mean they use the access? They actually are involved in the program?
Oh, it means that they have reasonable shopping. They're living within reasonable shopping distance to a retailer.
Okay, but what about the number of people who are your clientele?
So counting clientele is actually very problematic, not only for our program but across the country. It's difficult to create unique identifiers to track everybody who's participating in our program. A lot of it has to do with privacy, consumer privacy. Retailers are not it's not a common thing to track this data on their consumers, unless they have some type of loyalty system. So our current grocers do not track individual users. So it's impossible for them to know Jay Fidell shopped at this specific store 2 times this month. It's just the level of technology that's being implemented right now.
Yeah, and the level of privacy for that matter, and respect, if you will. So, what about SNAP? I mean, I hate to tell you this, but there are some people out there that don't know what that means. Can you tell them?
Sure. So SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a federal program. It used to go under the name of food stamps, and it changed. I'm not sure what year, but it changed from food stamps to SNAP, um, to to change the messaging behind food assistance, because it's not intended to be just a handout of free dollars. It really is supposed to supplement food budgets, and ideally how it works is to help bring up people who are in desperate need at a time, and really need some support to get them on their feet. There's also a population that just people with disabilities that can't sustain a job that will bring in enough income. So these are those safety nets that help people who really need it.
Now, it's a fundamental point. Really, you can quote me on this. You really need to eat. Eating is important. Without eating, bad things happen to you. You get sick or worse, right? So how do you identify, how does this program reach people who don't even know about it, who don't necessarily qualify in the formal sense, who may not be able to get to a grocer or even get a SNAP identification card? How do you reach them?
I think the first point of contact with our program starts with signing up for SNAP. So if they don't know about SNAP, they need to they could contact Department of Human Services. We also have a SNAP outreach worker that works with us at the food basket. We have 2 of them. His name is Dwayne on the Kona side. On Hilo, we have Kat. So our phone number is 933-6030. You can give us a call, and we can connect you with one of our SNAP outreach workers that will help you get an application. Unfortunately, the application is still a little daunting. There is an online application now, but I know for our senior or elderly population, you might need a little extra help with that. So that's where you should call our SNAP outreach workers, and they can get you signed up for SNAP.
Okay, so
I mean, it's not an automatic. If you turn it in, you'll get SNAP benefits. There is a qualification process. You need to be low income. You have to meet specific income limits set by the federal government.
and now then somebody sends me a little card in the mail, says you have been qualified under the SNAP program. Is that what happens?
Once you complete the whole process and you get approved by Department of Human Services, then they'll send you a SNAP EBT card.
And then I take that to KTA, for example. I shop for various things, but the checkout clerk is going to push um, the vegetables and the fruits on one side, and that will qualify for a 50% reduction in price when I check out of the grocery store.
So if they're shopping at a grocery store, they actually need another card that will trigger the discount, and they can get that at the customer service counter at KTA. Um, they can also give us a call. We can also mail them a card, our access card. It has our logo on it. It also has a barcode on the back of the card. Um, so they'll take both their SNAP card and the Bucks access card to the grocery store, shop for qualifying items. And the way that you find your qualifying items is you look for our logo on the price. It'll either be on the price or near it. And that's how you know that it's 50% off.
What was that phone number again?
Our phone number is 933-6030 at the food basket.
I love when nonprofits give out their number. You're really making a statement.
Yeah, that's something we pride ourselves on. We try to answer in the first ring. There's always a live person to talk to.
Great, fabulous. I remember going to a conference in Honolulu one time, and the tax director of the state of Hawaii was there, and there was hundreds of people in the room. And he said, if you have any questions, you can call me. And everybody said, come on, you're kidding. You're not going to let us call you. And then he gave him his cell number. I'm sure the guy had plenty of calls, but it was a great statement that he was open for discussion. And I thought that was very important for many reasons. So let's go back to the whole thing about the fundraiser. If I wanted to give money or commit or pledge or whatever the process is, to the food basket or to the Bucks program, I guess the Bucks is what you're talking about today. How would I do that? What steps would I take to make a contribution?
Easiest way to do it. A lot of people like to do it online now. You can go to our website at the food basket, hawaiifoodbasket.org. There is a donate page. And you can click on a donate link, and there's a drop down to select that you want your funds to go to the Bucks, the Bucks Double Up Food Bucks. You can designate your funds to our program. You can also designate funds just to a general donation to the food basket. There's several options for you to designate your donation at our website.
Suppose I want to give food.
Actual canned goods instead of, so I have to talk to our operations manager. We weren't accepting foods for a while because of the pandemic, but I think we're being more flexible with that restriction now. Ideally, it should be something that's not individual cans, but in its original packaging. Like if you want to donate tuna, it should be a case of tuna within the packaging, and then that's just for to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
Sure. And if I'm a farmer and I'm growing food, vegetables or fruits, just as you say, I would not give that to you directly because you're not a grocer. I would give it to a grocer, right? And the grocer would sell it, and we'd have the benefits would flow at the point of sale in the grocery store. But I'm not going to drive up to the back of KTA with a truck full of fruits and vegetables, or drive up to the back of the food basket with a truck full of foods and vegetables.
Actually, yes, you could.
Really? Okay.
We've been doing it for a while. I wouldn't say this is common practice for food banks, but that's what we do at our food bank. We've always been, since I've been working there for about 5 years now. We've been accepting donations from farmers. Even during the pandemic, we've been accepting the produce donations. So things like citrus and daikon. We've gotten a lot of donations from hamakua mushrooms. They donate often. Bananas, we get bananas every week from one of the farms, Ohana Family Farm.
And you give it away to people.
If we get it for free, we give it out for free. That's our policy.
One other thing I want to talk to you about, Chelsea, is food security, maybe in the larger sense. what happens going forward? You know, the COVID Relief Act is in play now. Everybody's going to get a check. We're not going to see, incomes will be more, at least for a while, at least for a few weeks anyway. How does that change things for you? Likewise, COVID, assuming the vaccine works and the variants are not troublesome and so forth, and the economy is able to knit itself back together again. That's a whole other discussion. How do you think that is going to affect the Bucks, that special program and the food basket in general?
I think it's difficult to project, I guess, exactly what's going to happen. I mean, every it's it's hard to say exactly when we would recover. In my opinion, it's not going to happen anytime soon because we are looking at cutting $1 billion in our state budget this year. I know it's more than a billion. So this economic recovery is not going to be fast, and we're going to be in this for a while. Um, but that being said, the food basket is here to end hunger. We're trying to put ourselves out of business, basically. If there's no hunger, there's no more work to be done. So that's really our end goal at the food basket is we're want to make sure that people have access to healthy, nutritious food. Um, and if they do have access, we've done our job.
What will you do after that?
So my this is very personal, but my interest is in agriculture and supporting our food industry. And even though I work for a nonprofit, I've really come to appreciate what um, the private sector also does in philanthropy and um, creating jobs for our economy. So I would love to support um, a grocery store such as KTA, which is doing an awesome job for our community and creating businesses, supporting farmers. Um, I think that would be an innovative place to put my energy.
Hmm. Okay, and a larger question, which I'm sure you've thought about in your training and your work for the food basket, is this. We're not sustainable, self-sustaining in food in the state of Hawaii, where once we were a fantastic global agricultural power, if you will. We had such sophisticated systems. We had such huge production. We had such exports going everywhere. Now, we limp along. We don't produce enough food to feed our own people. We have to import so much food. How can we change that? We need to diversify away from tourism. We need to have other industries, and one of them certainly logically seems to be agriculture, so we can have, self-sustaining food security. What do you think about that, and what do you think we should do about it? And what are you going to do about
Feel like I'm running for office answering these questions. Um, no, that's exactly why I care about agriculture so much. I think it's that ripe fruit for picking. I mean, that's the solution to a lot of economic problems across the world, not even just for Hawaii. A lot of times money is the focus, and exports do bring a lot of money into an economy. Cash crops, monoculture plantations, that has been the focus across the world with the Green Revolution. And now people are waking up, and it's not just me, it's I guess a generational thing that we're realizing regional and local agriculture really matters in a healthy local ecosystem, um, for creating jobs for people's health and wellness, their connection to their food, knowing where it comes from. So that I think there's that momentum building. People like nonprofits like the Kohala Center are training farmers, helping them to learn how to grow food, how to manage a business of farming, because it's not only do you need to know how to grow a plant, you need to be able to market your business and sell your product to a wholesaler and create those business partnerships. Um, that's just the one organization I can think of on the top of my head, but there are many organizations that care about food security and growing our food system in the state. Waianae Coast Comp, they're a health clinic, but they have a huge department focused on food access, and they have a farmers market that they're running in Waianae. So it's a very multi-sector type of industry that has a lot of interest from a lot of different places. So that's where I still feel inspired that we are making a difference, and that's where our future is going.
Hey, don't stop. Don't get tired. And and really, it's not so ridiculous that you might run for office. I see in you the possibility of great change for the state. So we're almost out of time, Chelsea, and I want to offer you, a last opportunity to leave a message with people, okay? On behalf of the food basket, on behalf of the Bucks, Double Up Food Bucks, and so forth. Can you tell them what you'd like them to take away from this discussion?
So I came here to share about my program. I know it can be really complicated, and you may not have understood exactly how it worked by the end of this, but I encourage you to visit my website. It's thebucks.org to learn more. If you have questions, we do have a program specific number. It's 808-437-3044. I was going to give you my cell phone number. The program number is 808-437-3044 to ask. That's a specific hotline for the DeBucks program. And if you are looking for those services, that's the number to call. If you want to support in other ways in a cash donation, you can also call that phone number. If your donation is going to be matched by a federal grant dollar, because we are applying for a federal GusNIP grant, which requires matching contributions. So I think we're leveraging every dollar that gets donated to us, and it's going directly to SNAP card holders as well as to the farmers who are benefiting from their purchases.
Okay. And Chelsea Takahashi, it's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to enjoy your energy. You are the future for us. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank
for
you.
all the good questions, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Chelsea. Aloha.